you are able to see the PDF file. Are you able to see the PDF file?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So last class we were discussing about moment area theorems, application of moment area theorems to find the slopes and also the deflection y. So we introduced two theorems, first theorem and the second theorem. First theorem is used to find the change in slope, and second theorem is to find the vertical deviation of a point with respect to a tangent drawn at another point. So we solved cantilever beam subjected to point load at the free end, then simply supported beam subjected to distributed load, and then another problem where there was load acting, distributed load acting only in the in the left portion of a cantilever beam. So in today's class, we'll solve one more example where we'll look into a simply supported beam subjected to this point load P, and we'll find out what is the rotation at A, what is the deflection at the point of application of load, and what is the maximum deflection. Then we will look into the statically indeterminate beams. So these beams we cannot find the reactions by application of the equilibrium equations. So we need to have compatibility equations. So we will use the method of superposition, and then we can find those all the reactions. And yeah, so let's start the first. Let's do this example. So we have this simply supported beam. A load is acting at point D. So D is located at distance A from the distance small a from the left edge, and distance small b from the right edge. Okay, so you can find the reactions at A and B. So to find the reaction at A, we can take moment equilibrium at point B. So P times B will be the anti-clockwise moment. So that will be balanced by RA into L. So RA will be PB by L. And similarly, we can find moment equilibrium at point A and get the reaction at B, which is PA by L. So if you cut a section at an interior in the interior segment in interior portion of segment AD, then what will happen is we can find the reaction M of x to be equal to PB into x, PB by L into x, that is RA into x. So what will happen is it will be 0 at point A, and then it will keep increasing linearly until point D. At point D, it will reach the maximum value. So that will be PB by L into this distance AD, which is A. So we are writing it as PAB by L. And then from there onwards, because of this point load, there will be a decrease in the bending moment, and then it will drop down to 0 at point B. Or you can take the segment BD and cut a section in between this BD segment, and you can draw the bending moment diagram. You can draw the free body diagram and find the bending moment. So that will be like PA by L into x if you take this distance as x. Okay, so same thing, you'll get a linear variation. So we have now drawn the bending moment diagram for this system. So what we are interested in finding what is the deflection at A. So if you see this this problem, this is not symmetric. It means the deflection of the beam is not symmetric. So we cannot use that change in slope at the midpoint. That means the change in slope between the left edge and the midpoint, and that will be the area under the curve. But here, since it is not symmetric, we cannot use that technique. So what we have to do, we'll just look at the sketch of the deflected shape. So this is the deflected shape shown in green color, and what happens is the maximum is occurring somewhere to the left of D, and and then we have this that's it. So if you observe carefully, at point A, you can draw a tangent. Okay. So this tangent will make theta A with the horizontal. So we want to find what is the theta A. Since we cannot use that relation theta at midpoint minus theta at A is equal to the area under the curve, because we don't know where is that maximum deflection occurring. So since we don't know that, we cannot apply that relation. we can apply the first moment area theorem. So what we will do, we have drawn the tangent at A, and what we can do is we can draw the vertical from point B. So this is the vertical line at point B. So it is intersecting the tangent at this some point. Let's call it maybe let's call it some G or something. So this distance, what is this distance? This is vertical deflection of point B with respect to a tangent drawn at A. So we have a relation. We can apply the second moment area theorem and find this TB by A. So what we will do, we have to consider the entire area and find the total area under the curve. Then we can find the centroid location, and since vertical line is drawn at B, we have to find the distance of the centroid with respect to the vertical line drawn at B. So that distance we'll find out. So we have already found that the centroid lies at a distance of L plus B by 3. That is, we have discussed it last class. So it will be B here and it will be L. So L plus B by 3 will be the distance of centroid from point B. Yeah, so with this knowledge, we can just find out what is TB by A. So the vertical deviation of B with respect to tangent drawn at A. That will be area, total area into x bar B. So total area under the curve. So half base height. So base is L and height is PAB by L by EI. So we have to take M by A. So that is PAB by L by EI. And this is the base length L. So this is the total area, and we multiply with x bar B, which is L plus B by 3. So what will happen? L and L will cancel out, and we will get PAB L plus B by 6A. So this is the vertical deviation of point B with respect to the tangent. Now, if you observe carefully, what is this? This A, B, and this point form a right angle triangle. Let's call this point G, right? Yeah, ABG form a right angle triangle. So what is since we can take tan theta A is equal to BG by AB, and since theta A is very small, tan theta A will be equal to theta A. So theta A will be BG by AB. So that means TB by A by length. Okay, so that's what we are doing here. So theta A is TB by A by L. So what will happen? We will take this quantity and divide by L. So PB by A by PAB by 6A into L plus B by L. Okay, so here what we are doing is we are just finding the magnitude of theta A when we are doing this, and what actual value will be minus because it is in the negative slope is there, so it will be minus. So theta A will be minus magnitude of theta A, or magnitude of theta A is minus theta A. So either way it's okay. So we have found the deflection at we have found the rotation at point A. Now what we are interested? We are interested in finding what is delta D. What is the deflection at the point of application of load? So to find that, what we will do? We already have a tangent here. So from point D, we draw a vertical line, and this vertical line will intersect the tangent at some point. Let's call it K. Okay, so it is intersecting here, and we can calculate what is TD by A. How do we do that? We will apply the second moment area theorem. So vertical deviation of D with respect to a tangent at A. So our area will be only this part. Okay, between AD, whatever moment M by A diagram is there, we will have to look into that area. So that's what I'm doing here. So we will focus on this portion, and we'll calculate the area under the curve under this between A and D, and we'll find the centroid of this area. Centroid, let's call it G1, and since vertical line is drawn at D, we have to find the distance of the centroid with respect to that vertical line. So it is at A by 3 from this vertical line drawn at D. So we can find vertical deviation of D with respect to tangent drawn at A, which is A1 times x bar D. So area under the curve is this AD is A, and height altitude is PAB by EIL. Okay, so PAB by EIL, that is the altitude. So half base height, so half A into PAB by EIL, and x bar D is A by 3. So what we get? PAQ by PAQB by 6 EIL. So what we are having is we are getting this distance. TD by A. So still we don't know what is delta D, what is the deflection of point D. Again, what we, if you look carefully, we can take this point. This point is K. So K and this entire section will be a right angle triangle. So we can find K distance of K from the horizontal line. That will be delta D plus TD by A, and that value is also equal to A, this length AD prime or AD into theta A. Okay, so we can apply tan theta is this length by this length, and then we get this length will be theta A times this length AD. Okay, so that is what we have here, delta D plus TD by A, that is this length is equal to AD times theta A. So that is what we have here. Again, when you say theta A, we are looking at only at the magnitude. So I'm just putting that magnitude of theta A. So what we can do, we can send the delta D term. We don't know this delta D term. We know TD by A term. We have already just now calculated it. So we can send the TDA by term to the right hand side. And then we'll substitute all the values. Theta A also we have calculated. So we'll substitute. AD is A. Theta A is 6AB by 6EI into L plus B by L. And TDA is PAQB by 6EIL. So we can take PA square B by 6AL common, and we have L plus B minus A. So L is A plus B, so A plus B plus B minus A. So A and A will cancel out, and we have 2B. So 2B means 2 and 6 will become 1 by 3, and we'll have P square A square B square by 3AL. So that is the deflection at the point of application of load P, at the point of application of load. Okay, so this is what we have. We have found the rotation at A, rotation, and then the deflection at point of application of B. So if you want to find what is the rotation at B, what we will do? What we will do is we'll draw a tangent at B. It will go in this fashion, and then we can draw a vertical at A, and then we can find what is TA by B. And once we find TA by B, we divide by length, and we'll get theta B. Okay, just we have to just draw the tangent at B and look at the problem. So I will ask you one question. You try to tell me the answer. So any one of you can answer it. Maybe I'll ask one of you. So here we want to find the maximum deflection. So how do you find the maximum deflection? So I'll ask one of you. Who to ask? Tapan Naik, you can answer. How do you find the maximum deflection? So I'll give some hint. So we want to find a point E such that it is at a maximum distance from the horizontal. So what will happen is at point E the slope will be 0. So theta E is 0. Okay, so we want to find what is this distance x. Okay, so E is the point of maximum deflection, and here the slope is 0. And we want to find what is this length x. So you tell me, one of you, like Tapan, you can answer if you. Is sleeping? Tapan Naik is here. Yeah, you can answer.
Yes, sir. I am.
Yeah. Tell me. Yeah. You can think sometime, or anyone can answer. I mean, I'm just asking what Tapan. Later, I maybe ask someone else. Okay, Yogita, you can answer. Yogita is there, right? Yeah, you can answer. You can try. We already know theta A. Theta A is given. Means theta A we just found out. So how will you find the x distance? Okay, a lot of silence is there. So let me answer myself. Okay, so theta A is known. Theta E is 0. So what is theta A? Theta E minus theta A. That is the area under the M by A diagram. Okay. So what we will do? Theta is 0. Theta A is known. And the change in slope theta E minus theta A is the area under the M by A diagram. So what we have our bending moment diagram here, and at E we draw what so at E this is the location of E which we don't know. So let's denote AE by x. So AE is x, and the bending moment at E will be PB is the reaction, PB by L is the reaction, so PB by L into X is the bending moment at E. Okay, so the change in slope theta E minus theta A is equal to area under this curve AEQ, that is the area AEQ, that will be equal to the change in the slope. So that is the first moment area theorem. So then what we can do, we can find out what is X value since we already know theta E. Okay, so what we can do here, theta E minus theta A is equal to the area under that curve, area under AE, so AEQ. So minus theta A is the absolute value because theta is negative, so minus of theta will be positive. So theta will be magnitude will be PAB by 6AL into L plus B by L, and area of AEQ is half base into height. So base is X and height is PBX by EAL. We always have to work with M by A diagram, so we have to divide by EI. So what we have here, we have this equation and we have unknown X. So we take X square term and we'll simplify it further. So for simplifying it, we take PB by EAL common, and here PB by EAL common, and here 2 will become 6 by 2 will become 3, and what is left here, A into L by L plus B by 3L. So then we'll cancel out these things, and we have X square is A into L plus B by 3L, and X will be square root of A into L plus B by 3L. Okay, so that is the location where the slope is 0, and therefore the deflection will be maximum there. Now we want to find what is the deflection at that point. So what we can do, again, since we know slope is 0, we draw a tangent there, and at A we draw a vertical down. This vertical will intersect the tangent here, and this vertical deviation of A with respect to tangent at E is given by TA by E. Okay, so we can calculate TA by E using this moment area second theorem. So again we have to consider that portion under AE, find the centroid. We are drawing the vertical at A, so we have to find the distance of the centroid with respect to the vertical at A. So this distance we are calculating as, it will be 2x by 3. So why are interested in TA by E? TA by E happens to be delta E, because tangent is horizontal, so this length will be equal to this length, delta E. So delta E is TA by E, and we are finding what is TA, deviation of A with respect to tangent drawn at E. So it will be area under that AE and multiply by X bar A. So area under AE will be half base, base is X, height is PBX by L, PBX by EIL, and X bar A is 2x by 3. So we'll have X cube and PB by 3AL. So we just substitute this term, X is equal to this A square root of AL plus B by 3L, and we are getting this answer. So this is the maximum deflection due to occurring due to the application of point load. So it is not occurring exactly at D, it is acting somewhere in a different location. Unless point load is acting at the center, then both E and D will coincide. So here, yeah.
Sir?
Yeah.
Sir, how we know that at E slope is 0? It is given in question.
No, we don't know. We are assuming that we know that the maximum deflection will occur at a point where the slope is 0. That we can figure out, right? Like
it is the point where the load is acted. That is the point.
Okay. So see, point D, the slope at point D can be 0, need not be 0. It need not be 0. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So just we have to find a point on the curve where the slope is 0, and that point will be the maximum deflection point. So in this problem, we are not assuming anything. We are thinking that the point is not coinciding with D. It may coincide with D depending on the location of the point of application of load.
Point load. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So if it lying at the center, maybe E and D will coincide. But for this problem, we are assuming that that point is unknown. So we are finding it to be at a distance x, and then we are doing that using that first theorem, that change in slope is equal to area under the curve. So from that we are getting the x value. So once we know the x value, we can apply the second moment area theorem and get the deflection delta E. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so this is regarding the application of the moment area theorems. I will take a small break and come back we will discuss the method of superposition. You were able to hear, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's discuss the method of superposition. So suppose we have this simply supported beam. It is subjected to distributed load and also a point load P. So if the beam is treated as elastic, that means it is not undergoing any plastic deformation and all. So in that scenario, what we can do, we can split this problem into two parts. First part we'll consider only the distributed load, and second part we'll consider only the point load. So then what we can do, we can find out the reactions and the deflections due to the distributed load, and we also can find the reactions and deflections due to the point load, and then we can sum them up. That answer will be same as if you analyze this problem together with distributed and point load. Okay, I think this is valid only for elastic scenario. Okay, elastic case, linear elastic scenario. The material is treated as linear elastic. If any plasticity is there, or if the material is behaving in a non-linear way, that means probably Young's modulus is varying with the distance, varying with the deflection, then this will not be valid. So yeah, so this is a simple concept of method of superposition, and we'll discuss how to apply this method of superposition to solve statically indeterminate beam problems. So before doing that, we have looked at the axial loading case, and we have looked at the statically indeterminate problems under axial loading. So suppose we have this beam, which is not beam, this is a axial bar. This is a uniaxial bar which is fixed at both ends, and we are applying a load in the middle, somewhere at a point D. So we have solved this problem. We want to find what is the reaction RA and reaction RB. So in that case, if we apply the equilibrium equation, so RA plus RB will be equal to P, and we have only one equation. We cannot find those two unknowns, RA and RB. So then we applied our method of superposition. So in that method, what we do, we remove the support at B, and then we split the problem into two parts. We remove the support at B, and we'll have the first problem where load P is acting at D. So under the action of the load P, the beam will, the bar will elongate by a small amount delta P. Then in the second case, the reaction RB is there. We are applying that compressive load at point B, and because of that compressive load, the beam will shorten by a small length, a small amount delta RB. So this problem is split into these two smaller, simpler problems. So we can analyze this problem and find what is the deflection delta P, and we can analyze this problem and find what is the deflection delta RB. But the main condition is that delta B is 0. That means since it is fixed, there is no movement here. So we have finally we get that compatibility condition, that the elongation is equal to the shortening, or if you consider the sign values, elongation plus this shortening is 0. Okay, means if you are taking the actual shortening, elongation as positive and shortening as negative, then this relation will be valid. Delta P plus delta RB is 0. Or you can say, you can calculate the magnitude of the elongation, magnitude of the shortening. You can equate both of them. So that is also fine. So this is the concept which you used for bars, statically indeterminate bars subjected to axial loading. So the same concept will apply to beams. Okay, so let's look at simple example here. So what we have here a propped cantilever beam. So what is propped cantilever? We have a cantilever which is fixed at one end, and the free end, at the free end we have providing a prop. Okay, this restraint, vertical restraint we are giving. So it is a propped cantilever. So it's fixed at one end. The free end we are providing this roller support. Okay, so it's like a prop. So we want to find what is the reactions, and both the reactions at A and reactions at B. So let's find out what are the unknowns. So there is a distributed load W acting in the downward direction. So at A we have a vertical reaction A, RAY, and the horizontal reaction RAX. And since the fixed beam, the rotation is prevented, so there will be a restraint, moment restraint. So that moment reaction is MA. And at B we have this roller support, so there is a vertical restraint, so we have our vertical moment RBY. So totally there are four unknowns: RAX, RAY, MA, and RBY. So these four unknowns are there, and if you apply the three global equations of equilibrium, we'll get only three equations, and we cannot find these four unknowns. So we need one more condition, that is a compatibility condition. So, or we have to look into the deflections and find out the extra equation. So the concept is that we will remove one restraint and allow the bar to deflect, and then at that restraint we'll apply that whatever reaction is there, we'll apply in the opposite direction, and we'll get the final answer, I think. So let's look at that here. So what we are doing, we are removing the support here. So this beam will be a cantilever beam now, and it is subjected to the distributed load W. And in the second case, second part, like we are dividing into two parts. So the second part, we have our cantilever beam, and that vertical reaction RBY, which was coming from the support, we are placing it here. So that is RBY here. So we will analyze this problem, and we will also analyze this problem separately. And what we will have is, because of this distributed load, this point B will move in the downward direction by a small amount. So this is the deflected shape of the beam. So at A the slope is 0, and at B there will be some slope, and also the vertical deflection is there. So let's call the vertical deflection delta B due to the distributed load W. Similarly, for this cantilever beam subjected to this RBY load, the reaction from the prop, the beam will deflect in this fashion, and there will be some deflection at point B in the upward direction. So that will be delta B due to the R. R is the reaction. So if you look carefully, we know that B is not moving in the vertical direction. So the sum of this plus this should be 0, or the movement of B in the downward direction is equal to movement of B in the upward direction. So the net sum will be then 0. Okay. So that is our compatibility condition. So we want to find what is the vertical deflection here and what is the vertical deflection there, and then sum them up and make it 0. If you look at the magnitudes, then this magnitude will be equal to this magnitude. Okay, so that the net motion of B is 0. So we want to find what is vertical deflection at B due to the distributed load. So what we can do, we can draw a tangent at A, and then we can draw a vertical line at B, and that vertical deviation of B with respect to tangent at A, we have a term notation for that, that is T B by A, and we are putting W, which is a distributed load subscript. So we have to find this, we can find this using the first moment area theorem. Similarly, we want to find what is the deflection here. So we draw a tangent at A, and from B we draw a vertical line, and we want to find what is delta BR. So delta that is equal to T, that notation is T deviation of B with respect to tangent drawn at A. So, and we are classifying it as RBY, that is the second part. Okay. This loading. One thing you can see here, the point B here is lying below the tangent, and here point B is lying above the tangent. So if you calculate TB by AR, this will be positive here in this case when it is lying above the tangent, and when it is lying below the tangent it will be a negative value. So we can sum up TB by R plus TB by W, that will be equal to 0. Okay, so let's do that. So first thing is we have to draw the bending moment diagram for distributed load. So we have our reaction at A, which is WL. Sum of all the forces in the downward direction is WL. So the balance it will be WL. And the moment reaction here will be WL square by 2. So this, we can treat this entire distributed load to be a point load equal to WL acting at L by 2. So this will produce WL into L by 2, WL square by 2. So that is the moment coming here. And for the cantilever beam, the bending moment will look like this. Okay, under the distributed load, it will be a parabola. Maximum value will be WL square by 2, and it is a hogging moment, so it will be negative. And as you move towards B, it will keep reducing, and at B it will go to 0. So the parabola has vertex here at B, and the base is length is AB, that is L, and the altitude is that is H is WL square by 2A. And its centroid is lying at G1. So G1 is at a distance of 3L by 4 from the place where you draw the vertical line. Okay. So we can find TB by AW, that is area into X bar B. So area under the curve is 1 by 3 BH. So 1 by 3 into minus WL square by 2A into 3L by 4. So 3 and 3 will cancel out, and 4 into 2 is 8. So L cube, L square into L is L cube. So minus WL cube by 80A. That is the area under the curve. And G1 is 3L by 4. BG1 or X bar B is 3L by 4. So from that we can get vertical deviation of B with respect to tangent on at A. So A1 times X1 bar B, which is WL cube by 80A into 3L by 4, which is, did I make a mistake here? And I think it will be WL cube by 24A, right? No. It will be A1 X1 bar B. Okay, I made a mistake here. Okay, what mistake I did is this length is not 3 by 4 L. It should be 3 L. Okay, there's a small correction here. Okay, you just instead of 3L by 4, let's put it L. Okay, and here it will be 3L by 4. So this value will be WL cube by 4, 3, 12 to 24A. So A1 will be WL cube by 24A. Okay, so if you multiply, you will get this answer, minus WL cube by 80A. Okay, so please correct this. This will be 24. Instead of 8, it will be 24. Instead of 3 by 4, it will be L. So rest of the problem is same. So TB by A will be minus WL cube by 80A. Okay, so that is this deflection delta W. Now we can find out what is the deflection there. We already know the answer. It will PL cube by 3A. RBY, so P is equal to RBY. So the deflection upward will be RBY L cube by 3A. But anyway, I'm doing it one more time. So first we'll draw the bending moment diagram. So what will happen is at this point A, the bending moment is RBY into L. Okay, and from there onwards, it will keep decreasing to 0. So this is the bending moment diagram, RBY L by A at point A, and from there onwards it is linearly decreasing to 0. And for this problem, the centroid is lying here, G2. So distance of centroid with respect to vertical line drawn at B, that is this distance, that will be 2L by 3. So let's find the area under the curve. So of base height, base is 2L by 3. Oh, sorry, again I'm making the same thing. Base is L, and height is RBY by L. So RBY L by A into L. So it will be RBY L square by 2A. So that is the area under the curve. And X bar 2B is 2L by 3. So we multiply the A into X bar 2B. We get RBY L cube by 3A. So the sum of these two values should be 0. Because there is a prop at the free end B. Prop at the free end B. So the total vertical deflection will be 0. So we have delta B is delta V W plus delta VR. So we have minus WL power 4 by 80A is RBY L cube by 3A. And we send that WL power 4 to the right, and then we send 3 to the numerator. So we'll get 3 WL by 8. So we have found the reaction at B using that compatibility condition. So let's look at the two problems one more time. So we have our distributed load W, reaction WL, and moment reaction WL square by 2. So the other case, we have that RBY, that value is 3 WL by 8, So since acting in the vertical upward direction, it will be reaction at A will be in the downward direction. That will be 3 WL by 8, and this will produce a clockwise. RB will produce a anti-clockwise movement that is equal to 3 WL square by 8. So here moment reaction will be 3 WL square by 8. So we can sum up these two problems and get the answer for the proper cantilever. So what we'll do, we can sum up the reactions. We can sum up, yeah. So first we'll sum up the reaction at B. So here there is no, it's a free end, so it will be 0, and here it will be 3 WL by 8. So the reaction will be 3 WL by 8. And at A, we have reaction WL and minus 3 and 3 WL by 8 in the downward direction. So we can sum it up, WL minus 3 WL by 8. So it will be 5 WL by 8. So that is the vertical reaction at A. And moment also we can sum up, WL square by 2, it is acting in the anti-clockwise direction, 3 WL square by 8 acting in the clockwise direction. So what will happen is we can put the arrow in the anti-clockwise direction, and so WL square by 2 minus 3 WL square by 8. So that value is WL square by 8. So we have found the RAX is 0. So we have found all the reactions here. So RAY is 5 WL by 8, RBY is 3 WL by 8, and MA is WL square by 8. Okay, so this is a simple application of the method of superposition. Yeah.
So why there will be a moment at the joint point of wall and rod? There will be no rotation at that point.
Moment at which place?
At the joint of wall and the rod.
Here. This
yes, sir. Yes, sir. That point.
Fixed support, right? Fixed support, theta is rotation is prevented. So if something is prevented, then some force will be developed, some reaction will be developed. Suppose, yeah, it's like if you allow the rotation, there will be no movement. But if you are preventing the rotation, so there will be some movement coming. So if you have a simply supported beam, there the beam is the pinned connections are allowed to rotate. So there is no movements coming there, no movement reactions. But here you are preventing the rotation, so there is a movement reaction coming there. Because the wall is preventing the, so this beam is embedded inside a wall, and the wall is preventing the beam from rotating at junction A. If it's a pin support, it will rotate, so there will be no reaction, movement reaction.
What about the shear force about that point? Then
shear force is, you can draw the free body diagram. It will be WL minus WX, something like that.
Okay.
Yesterday we think we did this some problem. Yeah, WL minus WX will be, yeah, WL minus WX. That is the shear force. And if you integrate it, it will be WLX minus x square by 2 plus some constant. So that constant at A will be minus WL square by 2. So we have to write plus WL square by 2. And in here it will be 0. So that will be parabolic variation. Okay, so we can solve the same problem in a different way. So here we have released the restraint at this support, vertical support at B. What we can do, we can release the moment here. We can release the, we can allow the beam to rotate freely at A. In that case, we'll get a statically determinate problem, which will look like a simply supported beam. So the second approach is, we are allowing the beam to rotate about point A. We are releasing the restraint at A, rotational restraint at A, we are releasing it. So the beam can rotate about point A. Okay, so we can solve the problem in this fashion also. So what we will do, so we have our beam where we are releasing the restraint at A. So this will now look like a simply supported beam, subjected to some distributed load. So we have our reactions, and that restraint which we are giving, MA, we are applying that restraint here on this simply supported beam. So that restraint we are applying the anti-clockwise direction. So what will happen here? Under the action of this distributed load, the beam will deflect. So there will be some rotation at A. So that rotation we call it as theta A due to the distributed load W. Similarly, due to that restraint, moment restraint, MA, we are applying that on this beam, there will be some rotation at A. So the beam will deflect like this. and this rotation we are calling it as theta a ma. That is rotation due to the applied due to this moment ma. Now compatibility condition says that the total rotation at A is 0. That means rotation due to this load W and rotation due to this moment ma should be 0. So theta a W plus theta a ma should be 0. So our problem will be simplified. We just have to find what is the rotation at A due to this distributor load and what is the rotation at A due to this moment A. Then we can sum them up and equal to 0. Then we can find what is ma. Okay. So let's do that. So for the first case, we have the bending moment diagram, ml square by ADA. And second case, what will happen? In second case, we have our bending moment, we have ma here. So the reaction here at A will be ma by L and B will be ma by L in the downward direction. So if you want to find how to do that, you can take moment about point B. So Ra into L is equal to ma. So Ra into L will produce a clockwise moment and ma is an anti-clockwise movement. So Ra into L is equal to ma. So Ra will be ma by L. So sigma Fy is 0, force in the equilibrium in the vertical direction. So if this is acting in the upward direction, here the force will act in the downward direction, and both will be equal magnitude. So ma by L and here also ma by L. And then we can draw our bending moment diagram. So what we can do, we can cut a section here and do the analysis. We will get, I didn't write it, but you will get a value of, what you will get? You will get a, what will you get? You will get negative value, I think, yeah. Because this is acting in this fashion, m of x is also acting in the clockwise direction. So m of x plus ma is equal to ma x by L. So m of x will be minus ma plus ma x by L. Okay, so at x is 0, it will be minus ma, and as you go forward, it will be decreasing and it will go to 0. So this is the bending moment diagram. So at A, it will be minus ma by A. That is a negative bending moment, and as you go towards B, it will go to 0. So, and for the distributed load, we already know it is WL square by 8, and we are dividing M by A diagram, so we are dividing by A. So WL square by 8A, and this is a parabola. The maximum occurs at the midpoint. Okay, and what we are interested in, what is theta A and what is theta A. So for the distributed load, at the center, slope is 0, theta d is 0. So the change in slope we can find out, and the change in slope will be the area under the curve. So area under AD will be 2 by 3 BH. B is L by 2 and H is WL square by 8A. So 2 by 3 L by 2 into WL square by 8A. So theta d minus theta A W. So theta d is 0 and we get theta A minus theta A W is WL cube by 24A. So 2 and 2 will cancel out, 8 into 3 is 24. So the rotation at A due to the distributed of W is minus WL cube by 24A. Now we want to find what is the rotation at A due to the moment. So the beam will deflect like this, and here the centroid, the point of maximum deflection is not at the center, so we cannot use the change in slope technique. So what we will do, we'll draw a tangent at A, and we can draw a vertical line at B. So the vertical line is intersecting at this point, intersecting the tangent at this point. So we can find out what is this value. This value is vertical deviation of B with respect to tangent drawn at A. So we have to find this value. Once we know this TB by A, then we can divide by the length and get theta A. Okay, so let's find out what is TB by A. So first thing is TB by A will be area into x bar B, because centroid, location of the centroid with respect to the line, vertical line drawn at B. So this distance is x bar B, and that will be 2L by 3. So we find out area under the curve. So area under the curve is half ma by A into 2L by 3. So half ma by A into 2L by 3, that is ma square L by 3A. And then, area is half ma by A into L, and x bar B is 2L by 3. So we are getting totally TB by A, which is ma square L by 3A. And theta A ma will be TB by A by L, which is, we are dividing by L, so L square will become L. So it will be ma L by 3A. So now we can apply the compatibility condition theta a w plus theta a ma, that is 0. So minus WL cube by 24a is MAL by 3a. So we get MA is WL square by 8. Okay, so we can just show all those moments and reactions here. So due to the distributed load, there will be WL by 2, WL by 2. And due to the applied moment of WL square by 8, we have MA by L, which is WL by 8, and again MA by L in the downward direction, the WL by 8. So reaction at A will be WL by 2 minus WL by 8. Oh, sorry, WL by 2 plus WL by 8. So it is coming 5 WL by 8. And reaction at B will be WL by 2 minus WL by 8. So it will be 3 WL by 8. And moment at A, moment reaction at A will be, here there is no moment, 0. And here it is WL square by 8. So we are again getting the same answers. 5 WL by 8, 3 WL by 8, and WL square by 8. Okay, so this is another way to solve the same problem. So what we are doing is we are releasing the moment restraint at A and allowing the beam to rotate. So again, because of that moment which you are restraining, that moment we are applying again here, and because of that the beam will rotate in the other direction. The net rotation is 0, so will theta a w plus theta a m is 0. So then that is a compatibility condition. In the previous case, the proper cantilever, that first approach, what we did, we removed the vertical restraint and allowed the beam to deflect in the downward direction, and we applied the reaction here in the upward direction, so the beam will deflect in the upward direction there. So the net sum of these, or the net deflection downward, is equal to the deflection upward, or the sum of the deflections will be 0. Okay, so yeah, so these are the two ways to do that. So I think we have covered the deflection problems. There is another way to solve the